You are 7 days away from wealth, everlasting wealth. But you must fulfill 7 rituals in 7 days for it to manifest. Now, listen carefully. On the first day, you will sleep with a mad woman. On the second day, you will spend the night in the graveyard. On the third day, you will bathe naked in the marketplace. On the fourth day, you will eat only from the refuse bin all through the day. On the fifth day, you must not speak to anyone from dawn till nightfall. On the sixth day, you will not drink water at all. Then on the seventh day, the last day, you will return to this shrine, and together we shall perform the final ritual. After that, wealth will bow at your feet. But know this, you cannot stop midway. You may choose to back out now, but if you begin, you must see it through to the very end, down to the 7th ritual which I shall seal. If any step is left undone, you will roam the streets in rags for the rest of your life. Now tell me, are you in, or not? Taju did not think twice. He replied, living in poverty is the hardest ritual of all. These 7 rituals are nothing compared to the ritual of poverty. I have seen worse than this in my years of suffering. So yes, I am in. Do not forget, 7 rituals in 7 days. The first day. Taju roamed the streets in search of a mad woman. He wandered for a long while but saw none. He muttered to himself, why today of all days? On other days, they are everywhere. What is happening today? Just as frustration began to weigh on him, one suddenly appeared. Taju's lips curved into a smile as he set his eyes on her. But as if she could sense his intention, the mad woman turned abruptly and ran. Taju ran after her with all the strength in his legs. She dashed into an uncompleted building, and he followed without hesitation. Inside, he stopped in shock. The mad woman was no longer alone. A wild-looking man stood beside her, clearly her mad companion. She had run to him for protection. The madman picked up a crude weapon and flashed Taju a twisted smile. Immediately, Taju's courage faltered, and he turned to flee. The madman gave chase, brandishing the weapon as they tore through the abandoned structure and into the open streets. Helter-skelter they ran, until finally the madman lost track of him. He stayed hidden until the danger had passed. When he finally stepped out, ready to continue his search, he froze. Another madwoman stood a short distance away, staring straight at him. This time, Taju acted quickly. He reached into his pocket, pulled out some money, and held it up to her. Enticed, she followed him willingly into another uncompleted building nearby. There, Taju carried out the ritual. He lay with her. On the second day, at night, Taju went to the graveyard. Fear weighed heavily on him, but at first, nothing seemed out of place. He lay down, restless and unable to sleep. After a long while, sleep finally overcame him. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a thunderous slap landed across his face. He jolted upright in terror. His eyes darted around, but there was no one there. His body trembled as fear clawed at his chest. For a moment, he thought of fleeing, but then he remembered the rule: once you begin, there is no turning back until the end. Then the nightmare began. Everywhere he turned, he saw them, ghosts. Pale, dreadful figures shifting in the darkness, surrounding him. Overwhelmed, he lowered his head and squeezed his eyes shut. In the next instant, a heavy blow cracked against his skull. Pain exploded through him and he screamed as he lifted his head. Then came the voice, deep and cold. So you want to make money? Of all places, you chose here. You came to disturb our rest just because of wealth. What disrespect. Another voice followed, harsher, you will be punished severely for this. They produced a long, spectral cane and descended on him with merciless lashes. Each stroke tore through him like fire. He screamed in agony, but the voices hissed, the more you scream, the more we flog you. At last, he learned to choke back his cries. Only then did they relent. When morning broke, a wave of relief washed over him. Without looking back, Taju sprang to his feet and fled from the graveyard. The third day had come, and with it, the next ritual. He was to bathe naked in the market square. For a brief moment, he considered giving up. But he remembered the warning: if he stopped halfway, madness would consume him. He had no choice but to press on. With grim determination, he set out for the marketplace. When he arrived, he stripped himself bare before the startled eyes of traders and passers-by. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "What's wrong with Taju? Has he gone mad?" someone shouted. Another voice sneered, "This man has finally joined rituals. He always joked about it, but we never thought he meant it. Maybe this is the proof." Taju poured water over his battered body, and agony pierced through him as the cold water struck the raw welts from his ghostly flogging. He screamed out in pain, but he did not stop. He endured to the end, then picked up his clothes and walked away without apology or shame. Whatever the people thought of him was none of his concern. His mind was fixed on one thing: wealth. When he returned home, his torment did not ease. His body was aflame with pain, so much so that he could not lie on his bed. That night, he was forced to sit upright, drifting in and out of uneasy sleep. On the fourth day, Taju stationed himself at the village waste heap, digging through refuse in search of scraps to eat. The leftovers he managed to pull out were sour and foul, but he forced them down. He had no choice, his mission had to be fulfilled. People who passed by watched him in shock. "Taju again. He must truly be mad," one said. Another shook his head, murmuring, "Whoever pushed him into this must be wicked. What has he done to deserve such humiliation?" But Taju paid no attention. Their words meant nothing. His eyes were fixed on the end goal: wealth. On the fifth day, his task was silence. He was not to speak to anyone from sunrise to sunset. As he walked past his neighbors, someone called out, "Taju." He opened his mouth to reply instinctively, but caught himself just in time. He quickly shut it and walked on. Later, his landlord confronted him. "Taju, your rent is long overdue. When will you pay?" But Taju kept his head bowed and pretended not to hear. People shook their heads, whispering to one another, "His madness is getting worse by the day. This man is finished." The temptation to respond grew heavier with every encounter. Afraid he might break the rule, Taju hurried home, bolted his door, and stayed locked inside until the day was done. On the sixth day, Taju was instructed not to drink a drop of water. To him, it seemed like the simplest of all the rituals. "This one is nothing," he thought. To make it easier, he resolved not to eat at all, so that thirst would not trouble him. But as the hours dragged on, hunger gnawed at his belly. By midday, he could no longer resist. He decided to eat just a little, hoping it would do no harm. The moment he took his first spoonful, the food caught in his throat. He coughed violently, his chest rattling as tears welled in his eyes. Panicked, he staggered out and begged a neighbor for water. With trembling hands, he raised it to his lips, but then, in a flash, his mission returned to his mind. He froze. His eyes widened in horror at what he was about to do. Quickly, he dropped the cup, spilling the water. Still, the cough racked his body. His neighbors looked on in concern, but he waved them away and forced himself back inside. Eventually, he managed to steady his breathing, though his eyes burned red from the strain. That entire day he remained restless, weak, and tormented by thirst. Yet he endured. Not a single drop of water passed his lips. On the seventh day, the final day, Taju went to the shrine for the last ritual to be performed by the witch doctor. But when he arrived, the shrine was silent. Empty. He waited. Minutes passed. The witch doctor did not appear. "Boba. Boba. Boba." Taju called out, but no voice answered. He asked a passerby, "Where is Boba, the one who tends this shrine?" The man shook his head gravely. "He is gone. They found his body lying lifeless inside the shrine last night." Taju chuckled nervously. No, you must be mistaken. I'm talking about the Baba of this shrine, the one who lives here. He cannot die. Think again. Perhaps you mean another man." At that moment, a woman stepped forward. "He is the one. The Baba of this shrine, the Obudu shrine. He is dead." The smile drained from Taju's face. His body stiffened as the truth sank in. "Oh my God. Baba, why would you do this to me? He cried. After everything I suffered, why now? You were supposed to seal it today. Then horror struck him deeper. Poverty was no longer the true fear. Without the seventh ritual, madness would claim him. He fell to his knees, sobbing. Baba, please come back. Perform the last ritual. I don't even want the money anymore, keep it. Just finish it so I won't run mad. 7 days, you said. 7 days. I did my part, today is the 7th day. And so the madness began. Taju's voice cracked into a haunting chant, 7 days, 7 days, 7 days. He roamed through the kingdom in wild delirium, his mind lost, his lips repeating the cursed refrain. And Taju lived out his days in madness, wandering the land, forever muttering the words, 7 days.